Have you ever started something and you were making great progress, you felt so good about it, and then all of a sudden you didn't finish what you started? It is so important for us to understand the power of finishing. Welcome to the podcast. This week, we're landing our series on focus, and we're going to talk about this idea of finishing as it relates to our number one goal. So I'm glad you're with us today. I'm confident there are going to be some things that you're going to pick up, and hopefully they're going to empower you and embolden you to hit the bullseye of your leadership. So thanks for being with me. Thanks for subscribing, for helping us spread the word. You guys are awesome. Our downloads are continuing to grow, and our subscribers on YouTube are going up, and that's really all because of you. So thanks for that. Hopefully today you'll get some things that you'll be able to share with others, and also they're going to benefit you as well, as we said. So let's jump into this thing. So the last few weeks we've been talking about the idea of focus, and as I was trying to think about focus, I was trying to think about it in a new way. What was a way that I could maybe help some other leaders to focus? Because I'm around a lot of leaders with companies that we work with and the businesses that we're with, and I'm finding right now that there's so many people that are struggling to stay focused. There's lots of things going on that are obstacles. We talked about obstacles last week. If you missed that episode, go back and check that out. But as you think about some of the things that are preventing you from going where you want to, one of those things is we just don't finish. We don't have this mindset of finish. So as I was thinking about the idea of focus, I drew or really thought about this idea, and we showed it to you, a target, an archery target. Now I've got a buddy of mine, one of his kids is in archery, and I first got this idea from him. He was explaining to me that you get some points on the outer rings of the target, but ultimately the force multiplier becomes or goes into effect when we hit that bullseye. When you hit the center of that target, it's almost like the pinball when if you ever played pinball when you're growing up. Maybe some of you are listening, you don't know what a pinball machine is, but we used to play a lot when I was a kid. And you could hit things and they just sort of accelerate the score. If you hit the middle, where you're trying to, or hit the certain thing on the pinball machine, it would just cause those points to go crazy, and the game would light up. You could win a free game. I think there's something about this idea of hitting the bullseye that almost it just positions us for what's next when we are able to achieve the things that we say that matter most. So as we've thought about these goals, I had you the first week or two to think about your 5 most important things you want to accomplish within the next 12 months. And then try to identify the one that really is most important to you. It's going to cause you to be most effective, most successful, feel better about yourself than any of the other ones. The way we kind of tried to help you think about that was, or to imagine which one rises to the top, is I said, if you could snap your fingers and make one of them go away, I mean, it's already accomplished and you're already reaping the benefits of that. Which one would it be? And that really is your number one priority. And so we said on week 1 that we need to start on our number one goal. That is the one that we need to start on. And then week 2, we talked about unleashing massive amounts of energy on that number one goal, and making sure that, when we talk about energy, our positivity and the people around our lives and our passion, all those things are going into that energy that we're putting toward that goal. And then week 3 was about committing time to it. And we talked about how important it is to use our time. We said massive amounts of action will overcome intention. I mean, it's great to have intention, good ideas, all those things, but that action is what's going to tip the scales toward success. And then last week, as I mentioned a moment ago, just the idea of overcoming obstacles. There are things that are going to come against you, distractions and time wasters and busyness and difficulty and a lack of resources, our own failures sometimes. Those things get in the way of us believing that we can do what we need to. And so we need to overcome those or remove those entirely if we can. Those obstacles, remember I used a little story last week. I was going through town here in Atlanta, and we got all these 6-8 lanes of traffic, and there's one little car on the side, and it's got the whole freeway backed up. Sometimes it's just one of those little obstacles can back up what it is we're trying to do. But ultimately, it is about the bullseye. It is about finishing what we start. And so today, I want to focus on that on this episode, just this idea of finishing well, and or not just finishing well, but finishing what we start. Now that's a piece of it, finishing well. Some of you are, think about not just your goals, but think about your career. And I want to encourage those of you who have been faithful for a long time, just continue running through the tape. It's the picture of the runner who is accelerating through the tape, not getting almost to the finish line and then slowing down or hitting the wall. If you're in a marathon, your career is not, it's not like a sprint. It really is more like a marathon. And so, if you've run marathons, when you get 18 to 22 miles, you're somewhere, it's going to not be very fun. And it's going to separate those who just want a medal and a T-shirt. A lot of people tell me, I want to run a marathon. They really want a medal and a T-shirt. They don't want to run a marathon, because there's this point where you're just saying, this is not fun. And some of you may be there in your career. And so I don't want to just talk about your one goal here, but just for a second, just remind you that you need to finish well in what you're doing. But one of the ways that you can build the muscle to be able to do that, some of you younger leaders, is to just make it a habit to finish what you start. So how do we do that? Well, what are some things that we can do to help us finish what we start? Because we all know there have been times where we've started things, not finished. And maybe if we had some of these things in place, they would have positioned us to finish what it was that we had started on. So let me give you some things here that I think will be helpful. The first one is, I would encourage you to find an encourager. Find an encourager, someone who can partner with you, be with you. They can remind you that you have what it takes. Maybe they can also provide some accountability, not just encouragement, but some accountability to ask you along the way, those markers. Are you hitting those milestones, like you said? And you can be as vulnerable and as open with that person, and even on the front side, be as intentional, like, this is the plan. Here's what I need you to ask me. Here's when I need you to ask me. If you wait until you get in the middle of the race and then ask for that help, you're probably going to give yourself a pass. So it's better to start with, what is it that you really want this person to ask you? How often do you want them to hold you accountable? And maybe just ask them to be in your corner. I've got people who are in my corner. They encourage me all the time. And I wouldn't be able to do the things that I'm able to. I can't imagine going through life without these people that matter most around my life. So if you want to finish what you start, the people around your life sometimes will keep you in the game, and they are vital. That accountability, that encouragement, that challenge, even sometimes. Hey, you've got what it takes. You need to. Sometimes the encouragement's not all positive. Sometimes it's like you need to stay at this. You need to get this done, because this really matters. You said it did on the front side, and now I'm here to remind you of what you said. It's powerful to have an encourager, to have a person or some people even around you that can help you. Here's the second one. I want to remind you to stay connected to your why. Why is it important? Why is this goal your number one goal? You're the one who said it was. You're the one who listed out the 5 things and snapped your fingers and said this would be the most important. And you probably had a reason as to why. And so I want to remind you to stay connected to your why, not just your why with your goal even, or what you're trying to accomplish, but your overall why. As you think about the purpose of your life and the things that matter most to you, that goal probably is rolled up into that somewhere. And so if you continue to stay faithful and to finish those things that you start on, the things that you say are most important, they're going to roll up into a bigger why. And so let's don't forget to stay connected to our why. Here's another one. Stay connected to who? Stay connected to who? So I'll give you a couple things to think about here. First of all, who's it for? You say, well, it's my goal, it's for me. Okay, that's great if that's what it is. But maybe you would remind yourself that this goal is not just for me. It's about me. I mean, it's my goal, but it's for someone else. Maybe your goal is not just for you. It really is for some other people. And I like to remind myself that when I'm speaking to a group of people, even today, as I'm thinking about this podcast, today is really about you. This is not about me. I really want to try to help some people think about how to achieve the things that they want to. That's one of the things that I'm trying to achieve. And so staying connected to who really matters. Another way to think about staying connected to who, or a way I think about it a lot, is I think about my family so often. I really want the people around my life to benefit from the way I lead my life and for the things I go after. And so as I think about my goals and achieving those, some of those goals are family related, but some of those are not family related, but my family still will benefit from those. And so you may be the same way. So as you think about connected to who's it for? Think about your customers. Think about your team. Think about your family. Think about the people around you who matter most. And really, why is it that you're trying to do what you're trying to do? And who's it for? Those things might be able to help you finish what you start. Another one is, I would say, this would be the fourth one, is to stay connected to win. Stay connected to win. Deadlines are so important. They're such a powerful tool for us when it comes to achieving our goals and to maintaining focus. And so there's just something about knowing that this is the day I said this is going to happen. If you're writing a book, you know, the publisher says this is when it has to be done. That's basically just a big person. This is when the homework is due. And probably you don't have anybody saying this is when your goals are due. These are your goals. You're going to have to set your own deadlines. But man, think about when you were in school, there was nothing more powerful to motivate you as a student than the homework is due on Wednesday, or the homework or the spelling test is on Friday. If you're like me, that homework being due on that day caused me the night before to say, okay, I got to do something now because this is due tomorrow. And, you know, maybe I'm sure there's some of you out there, you get the syllabus on the first day. I had a friend one time, he said he'd always get the syllabus the first week of class, and he'd do all his assignments for the whole semester. He'd do it in the first couple of weeks. And then he just said, I just really enjoyed, you know, college after that. And that's great. I'm glad there's some of you who work that far ahead, but some of us, we need that deadline to remind us that this is due today or this is due tomorrow. And so those markers along the way, those milestones along the way, if you know if you're behind, it's almost like a game. You know, the scoreboard is really great for, you know, who's winning the game. But I also like, you know, if you're in a football game, it's football season. I like those 4 quarters, that they're markers along the way, that this is how much time we have left until the final buzzer goes off, and then we're going to know, did we win or lose? And so deadlines can be a powerful tool here to help you finish what you start. And then I just want, this is maybe just a reminder, but it kind of goes back to what we talked about a little bit a couple of weeks ago with this idea of intentions. But good intentions, and again, this is just in the context here of finishing what you start, but intentions are not going to be enough. You've got to have action when it comes to finishing what you start. And I just wrote this statement down: good intentions pave the road to mediocrity. Good intentions pave the road to mediocrity. You need to have good intentions, but that's if that's all you have, you're going to be on mediocre avenue real quick. We've got to have more than intention. We've got to have more than aspiration. We've got to have more than a dream. We need those things, but once we get them, we've got to get in the car and put our foot on the gas, and we got to start going. We got to start acting. And so just reminding ourselves again of that seesaw that we talked about a couple weeks ago. If we put all the weight on the intention side and no weight on the action side, we're going to find ourselves stuck just without even getting started. And so I just want to remind you that we've got to have action if we're going to go to a place of greatness and get away from, mediocrity. I heard the old definition for mediocrity, or it's actually rooted. I think it literally means the etymology of the word. It means halfway up the mountain. It's just we're halfway. We're just kind of half-hearted. We're doing things halfway. We're just kind of coasting. And I think greatness never coasts. It's just there's always a standard that we're going after. We're trying to not just we tell our clients sometimes we're not just trying to under-promise and over-deliver. We want to promise a lot in our company and then try to exceed that. And I hear leaders all the time say, we're gonna under-promise and then try to over-deliver. I don't want to do business with someone who's saying we're going to kind of go halfway on our on what we're trying to do. I want to see people who are shooting for something great, and then they're trying to exceed that and take the record to a place where nobody could even fathom getting there. So just again, that reminder, if we're going to finish what we start, we've got to take action. We've got to initiate, and that'll help us get there. And then a couple more here to just sort of wind down the series and think about finishing what we start. I would remind you to celebrate. if you're able to check a goal off and it's your number one goal, you should celebrate that. You should feel great about that. You should have that encourager around you, that you and that person, y'all should be able to celebrate together that you were able to get this done. Maybe it's something that your team has. You've got a goal in place. It's the number one project you're on. It's the number one, contract you're trying to sign, what it is you're trying to do. Every time you make progress toward that, you should celebrate. But when you get it done and you get to the place where you knock it out of the park and you're like, that was awesome, you should really, you got to celebrate. And I'm around leaders all the time. They spend so much time doing, and so little time celebrating along the way. And I think when we do that, we're almost, it's like we're giving away the joy that we should be having when we're getting the things done that we're really trying to do. So there's some things that you've done lately that you should feel really great about. You should celebrate those things. You shouldn't celebrate if if it's just intention, but when it's action and you get to where you want to go, throw a party, celebrate, do something good for yourself, and keep making progress. So when you finish what you start, you should feel great about that. It's you finish what you started in a marathon. It's the t-shirt and the medal are nice, but they mean nothing compared to that satisfaction knowing I had this goal and I went and I got it done. I feel great about that. The t-shirts fade and the medals are gone, but it's that satisfaction of knowing you finished what you started. You should feel fantastic about that. So don't forget to celebrate. And then finally, I don't know that this helps me finish what I start, but I would say it's a part of finishing what I start is when you get to the end, then it's time to set new goals. It's time to set new goals. So when you this is one that you may not want to hear, but there's just something great about knowing that when I get to the top of this, obstacle or not obstacle, but this mountain, I've overcome the obstacles to get to the top of the mountain. It gives me this vista to be able to see the next mountain and to be able to go get that. And I shared some point along the way, I was in Haiti a few years ago, and I was with somebody who was translating, but I had a driver, and this driver starts yelling something in Creole. I had no idea what he was saying, and my translator said he wants you to know this old Creole proverb is what he said. Is I think it was de Mont. It means beyond mountains there are mountains, and he's pointing to this mountain. He's basically wanted me to know that that's not the only mountain we have. These mountains here surrounding the city, there are mountains beyond the mountains. And for leaders, or for really just anybody who's chasing high performance, the idea that you climb to the mountain and stop and that's the end of it, you succeed and retire, that's just never going to be enough for a person who's chasing high performance. It's a stepping stone. It's a place we get, and we get to the top, and we do get a great view from up there. We get to celebrate up there. We got people with us that have helped us get there along the way, and they feel good about that as well. But when you get to the top, it's so cool to be able to see that next mountain, and you say, I'm going to go back down in the valley. That's where growth happens. My daughter, I think, is the one who told me this. One of my daughters, she said, at the top, you get to the top, nothing really grows once you get to the top. You can go high enough in the world, and we've been on glaciers in some places where you get up there and nothing grows at that height, but it's down in the valley where it grows. And so you got to go back down in the valley, and you got to grow again, and you got to go through difficult stuff again. You got to set new goals, and those things that become hard, and all those obstacles are going to be there on the other side as you start trying to go up the next mountain. But there's just something about saying, when I get to the top, I'm going to set another goal, and I'm going to try to go after something really great again, and just honestly to be able to build on those strengths, that growth that took place to get you to the top in the first place. So one of the pieces that I love about finishing what I start is when I get to the top, I'm literally able to set a new goal, to go after something new, and beyond mountains, there are mountains, and the same thing's true for you. Let's finish what we start so we can get to that place where we can literally look out and say, I'm going to go after something even bigger the next time, even better, and something maybe that matters even more. This is almost like a prerequisite to your next goal. And so I had to get through remedial English, go back and listen a couple of weeks ago before I could get to the regular English, and then I ended up with an English minor, but it never would have happened had I not got through the first class. Getting through the first class felt really hard, but it gets easier as you go, and the same thing will be true for your goals. So let's set some new goals and finish what we start. So let's just review again, and you'll notice we'll throw the bullseye back up for you, but you'll notice that Each one of them starts with that letter, or one of those letters that will spell the word focus. And so we'll start from the inside, this idea of finishing what you start. That's the F. It's just, ultimately, that's the bullseye. That is the force multiplier where we get all the points. We've got to overcome the obstacles to be able to get to the bullseye. We got to commit time if we're going to get to the bullseye. We got to unleash energy. And then ultimately, some of us still may not have started on our number one goal. So let's start on those. Let's get that energy going, put the time in, overcome the obstacles, and ultimately let's finish what we start. And if we will, we'll be well on our way to greatness. Keep chasing it. Keep spreading the word. Helping us share the podcast with your friends, and keep journeying together on this path to high performance.